Rico here, South Main Auto. Welcome back to our channel. Got this 2005 Ford F-150 here, and it's got a little bit of history. Guy brought it in a week or so ago and complained about what he suspected was a transmission shutter. And I'd taken the vehicle for a drive. Well, I didn't really notice anything out of the ordinary. We scanned it, no codes, you know, drove it. Really couldn't get anything to happen. Long story short, I had the customer come and take me for a ride, you know, because he could duplicate the problem and show me what was going on. The way he described the problem originally, I suspected an engine misfire, but he was really adamant that it was in the transmission. So what we did is, or what it will do, and this is pretty characteristic of a misfire, between 45 and 55, when the torque converter locks up on a slight incline, just barely tipping into throttle, it would start fish biting, and you just feel it just just randomly and not very often. And supposedly it does it more when it's damp out. Well, it's been raining for about a week straight, so it's been damp. You go into the mode 6 data and you'd look, and there'd be a misfire here and there, kind of on some random cylinders. More so, I think it was cylinder 1 and 7, if I remember right, something along those lines. Had more misfires than others, but never enough to generate an engine light, or anything of that nature. So the truck has 100 and some thousand on it. I think just over 100,000. I'll take a look and let you know for sure. But I suggested to the guy, well, he's never done a tune-up on it, and this has the infamous extended reach spark plugs. These things are an absolute disaster if you've ever done them. Anybody that's done them knows full well that they tend to snap off inside the head, which is a disaster. So I suggested to the guy who owns the truck that it's a good place to start. 100,000+ miles on it. Start with the plugs. He's got a ladder rack and toolboxes and stuff, and he's a contractor, and he wanted to know what else I thought it could be. Possibilities are endless, but the most likely scenario is spark plugs or a coil. So his suggestion was change them all, and I told him that's a big fat guess. Coil, and a spark plug, both are guesses, both are educated guesses because of previous experiences with these 5.4s. So he wants to keep the truck for a while, and I gave him a price on all 8 coils and all 8 spark plugs, and he just wants to do it, just no questions asked. So that's what we're gonna do. You'll see I got the truck running, and I hate doing these things. There's no easy way to go about it. The best method I have found, and it sounds completely off the wall, is I let the trucks warm up. And I change the spark plugs while it's smoking hot, because it seems to me the only way they come out. And I use an impact. These plugs break. Way back in the day, I attempted them cold before, and you'll break every single one of them. Ford has some methods where you crack them loose, and I think you fill it full of Panther Pea, and you wait days, and you work them back and forth, and they just don't come out. And then there's all sorts of tools in the aftermarket now to get the broken ones out. I don't want to jinx myself if you can do that, but the last time I did a V10, I ended up breaking 2, and lo and behold, it's always the 2 rear ones, the hardest ones to get to. And I've got the Lisle broken spark plug tool. That's this tool right here. It's growing a lot of dust. I hope to continue to let it build its dust, because I really don't want to break this out today. But yeah, it's a little kit that gets the broken half of the spark plug out. I always dread starting these, but we can sit here and whine about it all day, or I can just get started on it. Like I said, I'm going to let it warm up. I warm them up. I go in with an impact and a extension and a socket, and we'll zip them right out of there. We're going to do the 4 that we can get to, and then we'll let it warm up again, and we'll do the other 4. So while it's warming up, I'm going to bust the coils loose and get started on this job. doing it, I'm not going to show the whole procedure, is there's 8 individual coils on this engine. They're each held on with just one bolt, one connector. It takes a 7mm socket. So I'm just going to go through now and just take the bolts out of all of them while the engine's warming up and running. That way the coils are all loose and ready to go. So here's a close-up picture of that coil. So they just sit right down in here between the intake manifold and the valve cover there. And they go right back to the engine on both tanks. So like I say, I'm just going to go ahead and zip those out of there. That's what all the little bolts look like. Like I say, not much to them. Got them all out. Take the blow nozzle and blast some of this dirt off the engine. Well, then we'll get started. Now or never. Well, let's start right with the first one. It's never the first one that breaks. It's usually the back two. Pull the coil out. See what kind of combination we need to get down in there. 127,000 miles, by the way. 127. And I think these are the ones. These take like a 9/16 or something socket too. Man, I hate doing these. Alright, folks. Cross fingers. Where's the drama in that? They're Motorcraft, but that's got never sees on it. Oh, man. Is today the day? Like literally shaking. I hate doing these things. You never know how to schedule for them, you know, because is this gonna go quick? Or are you gonna be at it all day? Made her grunt a little more. I don't really see, yep, she's hot. Hot! I don't really see any never sees on that one. Maybe somebody was fiddling with that first one at some point. I'm gonna have to ask this guy because they don't never sees them at the factory, I'll tell you that. I think they put Octite on. This is the third one back. Come on, baby. That is so sweet. That is a sweet sound. Usually, I don't know if you guys have done these or not. Yeah, I don't see never sees on that one. Well, we got to keep going here. And I was going to say, usually, what'll happen is it takes this hammerhead impact here, and it pretty much brings it right to a stop. I mean, it just the whole way to the end, and you're just sweating bullets. Okay, shoot, that extension's too long. Get a shorter extension here. And I grabbed one. I tell you, man, this makes you sick to your stomach doing these things. Come on. That one labored it a little bit, but nowhere as near like it usually does, let me tell you. Ah, there's one broken one. It's in the back. Call that or what? Barely made her grunt. So we are going to get to see how to use the tool. Hopefully just on one. That'd be great. Let's go go over here while the thing's still warmed up a little bit. Let's go on pretty quick and see what we break over here. It's on the passenger side. I don't know how many are easy to get to over here, but we'll start with one anyways. My longer extension. That's weird. That first one had never season on. I wonder what, maybe something happened way back under warranty. I don't know. There's that one. And that one's got never sees on it. I'll be darned. Yeah, that one's got some never sees on it. So the front two so far. Okay. Man, I'd be real grateful if this back one on this side comes out. This one's a stinker to get to. I think we're gonna have to pull the ECM out of it to get back in there. Easily, anyways. Back. That one's got something down in the hole, like a piece of debris or something that's not allowing me to get the socket over top of it. So I tell you what, before I get too far, I want to take in, because I got to blast some air down in that hole to clean that junk out of there. And before I do that, though, I want to stick the other spark plugs in their respective holes, you know, just to give us some a little bit of security as far as blowing that one out without getting crap down in the other ones. I know this truck will probably never live to see another set of spark plugs, but whenever I do these suckers, I loop them up pretty good. Right down to the tip extension there. That's where they seize. This tip seizes in the head. That's what gets us. Right or wrong, that's what I do. I goop them suckers up pretty good. I'd say probably a lot of people will disagree with it. And but that's okay. Because if it comes back, I'm the one that has to take them out. So every one I've ever done, I've done like that. Never had any misfires or anything of that nature. These are the Autolite spark plugs. Supposedly they're different, redesigned from the Ford Motorcraft ones. And they don't have the tendency to break the tip off. I don't recall if they're, you know, reduced in size or they're, you know, made out of a one piece or what the advancement is, but I'm pretty sure they've made an advancement that helps, you know, supposedly helps stop this. I'm going to go ahead and stick these 4 in, or the 3 rather, on this side. That way we can safely blow around with the blow nozzle. And we'll keep working at it here. Okay, we got those 3 and 4 started, so you can blast that crud out of here. Like a little, I don't know what the heck it was, but it was, yeah, whatever it is, it's stuck beside that spark plug. I can get a pick so I can reach down in there and get it loose. Whatever it is, it's jammed in there pretty darn good, I'll tell you that. Might have got it. Oh man, please come out of there. Let's see. A little bit afraid the engine might be cooling down a little too much, but let's see what happens here. Alright. Well, that one there also has never sees on it. Man, I'm gonna have to call this guy. See what the heck the story is. It's kind of bizarre. Before I go for them rear 2, I'm gonna pop this ECM off, pop the ECM bracket off. It looks like it's just a small bracket behind it. That way we can get back there a little bit easier. However, I think the best idea prior to doing that is let's get this spark plug put in there. Let's tighten down the ones we've got in. And then what we can do is get the broken one out. And then we'll slide the, even though we're not using these actual coils, we'll slide them back on, we'll plug them in, fire it up, let it warm up again, and then go for the victory on those last two. I tell you, it's just always been my experience. If it's gonna break, it's the back two. And the one on this side's a pisser to get to. That one's not too bad, but these plugs on this side face back, you know, and it's just, it'd be really great if that one just comes out. So get these tightened up and then we'll move on from there. Yeah, this is a really awful design. I don't know the concept behind it. I don't know what Ford's thought was. If I remember right, I think it was a pretty short-lived design. I don't think this only was on only the 3-valve engines, and I think only for a few years, if I recall. Either way, pain in the butt. I know a lot of you guys work in shops or, you know, do a lot of work on your own vehicles. I'm kind of curious what you guys do on these 3-valve Fords for getting the spark plugs out. Of course, by the time this video publishes, it'll be long gone, but if you have a great tip, definitely use it on the next one, I'll tell you that. Like I say, this has been my experience here. Just heat them up, impact them out. Like I say, I remember the first time that I heard about that, or seen a guy do that, I'm like, oh man, no way. And then I watched him get almost all of them out, and I'm like, that's the trick I'm using. So I know the whole working them while they're cold thing just never seems to work. Okay, well, those are all tight. Might better just take the coils that I have and we'll just kind of stick them back on for now, because that has to be done sooner or later. Get them set back on there and plugged in. Like I say, I think by the time we're done fiddling with getting this broken one out, the engine will probably be cooled down. On aluminum heads, they dissipate the heat so quickly. I know guys who've taken these out, they just go out and they just piss pound them before they bring them back in to do the plugs. And I don't know, personally I don't know if that helps any more than just letting it warm up normally, because like I say, it seems to be as soon as you shut them off, I mean they cool rapidly, where they'll hit a certain heat absorption point where they just kind of hang there. So I don't know if there's any benefit to really going out and smashing down on it or not, to be honest with you. Maybe you guys know more about thermodynamics than I do, but because obviously I don't know anything about it. But yeah, that's just kind of my thoughts. We'll slap these two on the other side. We'll get the tools, see if we can get that broken one out of there. Here we go. Well, first things first, I'm going to blast out that rear hole. Might be some loose porcelain or something sitting in there. You don't have to worry about blasting stuff down in, because let me find the broken one here. So here is a good one. Here's a broken one. So in case you've never done it, you've never seen it, this extended tip with the electrode and the strap and everything there is stuck down in the hole. Well, the threads are good, but we're missing the whole bottom half of the body, which sucks. So the tool I have, what it's going to do is essentially it's going to take this piece that's broke off in the head, the porcelain that's in the center of it, we're going to thread our tool into the head. It's going to push that porcelain out. Usually it breaks that strap, pushes the porcelain down, makes your skin crawl, because all you hear is a bunch of creaking and crunching and everything going on. And then what we're going to do is we're going to thread an extractor into this metal tube, and then if all goes well, we're gonna pull that tube out. We're gonna, essentially like jack it right up out of there with a forcing screw. If all goes well. And so far, I've been successful using that tool. I've used it a couple times. I've actually used the tool, broke the tool, wore it out, got a new tool. So I hope this goes well. It's always been successful so far. So we'll see what happens. I better wipe the dust off it. So like I say, here's the tool we're going to insert first. And this is the one that we're going to thread into the spark plug hole. And then this plunger here in the center, I'll have turned out. Thread that in the spark plug hole. And then we're going to just tighten that plunger up till this baby bottoms out. And it's going to take that porcelain, that broken piece, right here in the center. It's going to push it down until it busts that strap open. And then from there, we're going to stick this guide inside the spark plug hole. And then we're going to stick this in the spark plug hole. So this will go down in. Inside that guide, inside this metal tube in which we've busted the porcelain out of, or pushed it down in, this self-tapping piece right here, we're going to turn into there. And it's going to lock right in. So it's got some real sharp teeth on it. We're going to turn it. It's going to lock into that tube, so you can envision this. See if I can hold this so you can theorize this. This thread will be inside this metal tube. It's going to lock into it. Then we're going to tighten up the forcing screw here, and out she comes, in theory. So let's see what happens. The only reason I went into more in depth on explaining that is the fact that I'm not really sure how much video I'll be able to get back in there, but at least you'll know at each step, what it is I'm doing. And this is, I can't remember who makes this tool. Lisle makes it. Well, this is the Matco one. It's a BPR 65. But I'm pretty sure this is a Lisle tool. I don't think it says here. It doesn't really say. But here's a picture of the broken piece being extracted. So if all goes well, we'll be able to take our own picture. And we'll be happy. We'll do a little dance. Now, according to this tool manufacturer, the pusher, the piece that's going to push the broken porcelain out, cannot go too far. It can't be overextended. So it's, I think they reiterate a couple times in their directions to, to make sure you bottom this tool out and not to worry about how far it goes. Okay, well, the tool is tight and bore. The next step is I'm going with our 5/8 socket. Then we need a little longer extension. Oh, I'll find out what I did with it here. Yeah. Now we just got to tighten it down till we get done with all the bone crunching. Well, trust me, that sounds awful when you're doing it. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but it's the part of the job I don't like. You wonder what the heck is going on in there. But so we're just going to tighten this down until it stops. There she goes again. I've done some of these before that when you're tightening this down, this goes really, really hard. This one seems to be going relatively easy. Okay, it stopped. So now we'll pull the whole unit back up out of there. Use our 3/4 socket. Get it out, and we'll screw in our extractor, see if we can't get a bite on this thing. And get this sucker yanked up out of there. Going in with the extractor now. And I hope this works. Line that up in the bore. And what you have to do is you have to tighten that. You want to make sure you get a darn good bite on it the first time. You know, I don't know what happens if you don't. I thought I grabbed a socket for it. Well, let me go get my socket. Oh, it's right here. So this is left-hand thread, takes a 7/16 socket. Well, we want that sucker to bite in there good, but we don't want to turn it so tight that we snap the end of it off, snap the end of our extractor off. But we want to get a good purchase on it. I don't know what you do if you snap the end off. Okay, I feel that I've got a good amount of purchase on it. Tight as I want to take it for being a tiny tip. So I've got a 15/16 socket on there now. And what we're going to do is run that up against that adapter. And hopefully, oops, that's left-hand thread too. I just spun the nut all the way off it. Hopefully, it'll jack that right up out of that hole. There's probably a zillion videos on YouTube about this. I don't know. I should have done my research, I guess, before I did this. But now we'll have our own unique video. So let's stick that on there. We're going to go left-hand thread. See if that sucker will come right up out of the hole for us. Bring up porcelain and all stuck to the end of our extractor. Surprised this one broke. It broke pretty easy, to be honest with you. So hopefully it comes out pretty easy. And it appears to. Man, I've taken some of these out, man, they pop and snap and just like makes your hair in the back of your head stand up, you know, just wondering if that sucker's gonna come out of there. Okay, it appears that it's all loose. Fingers crossed, let's pull it out and see what we've got. Oh man, there it is, folks. Right on the end of it, just like we'd expect. That's wonderful. Man, that is wonderful. So I'll show you what that looks like. That's it right there. That's what the porcelain pushed through. It breaks that end tab open, okay? This one did chip off some of the porcelain. You know, what do you do about it? You know, you're not going to pull ahead to find that. What I do is I simply start them up with the spark plug out and let it run. I mean, that's your only hope of getting it out. You know, if that piece is floating around in there, hopefully that sucker will blast right up out of the hole, and you know, we'll pop a new plug in there, new coil, and see what happens. I don't know any other suggestion there. It seems to me that every time you take these apart, this is the way they look. They always come out with pieces missing. And I don't think there's anything you can do about it. I mean, it's this or pull the head. So I do know guys that have, you know, busted these off and somehow drove them down inside the head, you know, using, you know, whatever, you know, caveman method they had to, you know, to get that out. And then in that case, I've heard of them being repaired by pulling the exhaust manifold, you know, running the valve so you can open the, you know, exhaust valve. And I've heard of guys actually reaching in there and, you know, salvaging stuff out of there. You may disagree with this, but I don't know what else to do, and I've done them like this a lot before, and it hasn't bit me yet. So we're gonna fire it up, see if we can blast this stuff out of the hole, and move on. All right, best we can do is throw a spark plug in it and see if it runs smooth. Makes you wonder why Ford quit using these. I don't know. Okay, that one's snugged up. Oops. Take this coil here, we'll slap it on, plug it in. Let's see if it runs good before we yank the other ones out there. And make sure you get these plugged in. There. Alright, looks like everything's plugged in. Seems to be running pretty smooth, but got 2 more to go. Let's sit here and warm up a little bit. Like I said, I think over there on that side we'll like pop that ECM and ECM bracket off. Gonna get that set aside, let it warm up good, and just hope them last 2 come out. The tool did work, saved our bacon, and hopefully we don't have to use it again. As good as it works, I really don't like to use it, you know, particularly, you know, when you find out that, that piece is broken, but, you know, there's a little piece of porcelain missing, or, you know, that little metal strap, or, you know, a piece of the electrode. Now this electrode is all intact. It's probably really hard to see on camera, but there is that tiny piece of platinum still there, so. One last thing we have to worry about, one thing I will make a note of, is back on this valve cover, when I screwed that spark plug in, there was a little piece of white porcelain laying right up there on the side. If it's still sitting there, I'll zoom in on it and show you. So, you know, starting it up with the spark plug out, I think is your best hope of, you know, getting any of that trash out of there. Like I say, if you know another method, I'd certainly feel free to post it. Because this is probably not going to be my last, you know, roundabout with these Fords, I'm sure. You know, eventually around here they'll all be in the salvage yard, but you never know. It's always good to hear your methods, because like I said, I'm pretty sure this is not geographically specific with these 3 valves. So if you know the method to get the trash out of the cylinder, other than firing it up and letting it blast out of there, definitely post it, and I'll you know, keep it in consideration for next time. Well, I got distracted there for a while. I had to go help Josh do some stuff. That's the ECM bracket. Got a couple 3 bolts that hold the ECM on, 3 bolts that hold it to the firewall, and see from the marks on it, it looks like it's been out before. stuff we're running across on this thing with the never sees on the plugs and such. I think I'm gonna let it run here for probably a good 5 minutes anyways. I want to get it back up to full operating temperature and get them last two out, man. I hope they don't break. Here will showstopper if it does, but hopefully if they do, we can get them out. Well, here goes nothing. I'm going to take and move this connector here. It should, like I said, let's get that PCM out of the way for us. Get that harness over there. You know what? I'm going to take a second to just pop these all out. Set the computer to the side. Now we've got lots of room to work, hopefully. Coils are already loose, so we just got to unhook the connectors off them. Well. Set them up to the side. Alright, let me grab a air hose. Kind of like a suspense thriller movie, isn't it? Is it going to go or is it going to break? We're about to find out. Hopefully whoever put the never sees on the front ones, a couple there, hopefully they did these two. Oh man, this one's got something down in the hole too. I can't get the socket on it, so we skip that one. Right to the back, the one that always breaks. Need to get a swivel. Got this little wobble extension here. Stick on the end of that. Come on, baby. Come out. Yeah, she broke. I'll tell you that much right now. Yep, so there's one broken one. This one has never sees on it too. Didn't help in this situation, so I don't know what it is. It's always those always appears to be the rear two. This one here, I got to dig around in there with a pick. See if I can't see in that hole. But hopefully whatever's hindering us from getting the socket on it, hopefully we can blast it up out of there. Get that one out. Okay, there it is. Let's see if we can get this one out and only ended up with two broken ones. That'd be not too bad a deal. Sweet baby. There it is. Not untypical. Probably those of you who have done this know that's seems to be the norm. This one here has just a slight film of never sees, so something's happened here before. But can we use this as a testament to the never sees? You know, does it work? Doesn't it work? Because I think you recall in the beginning that I did say that it is very typical for the you know, rear two to break off, and even if it's a V10, it's usually those rear two that break off. It's like the two toughest ones to get to. And thankfully the Lisle tool usually works. Without having applied the never sees ourselves, you know, we can't, I don't think that we can say that's a really good experiment. You know, does the never sees work? You know, what if they only never seized, you know, this upper portion and not the extended tip? I don't know, it's all speculation. One thing I am gonna do is talk to this guy to find out what the deal is, you know, why it potentially could have this never sees on it. It's kind of odd. I don't know if he bought the truck new or second hand or what. We're gonna go at it with round two here. Stick around. Whew, she's hot back here, boy. It tells you in the instructions to heat up the spark plug, the broken spark plug, with a hair dryer. I like Lisle, great company. Or Lisle Tools, rather. That just doesn't make sense to me. I'm not sure how far you'd get with a hair dryer. Unless you got like hair dryer for big hair. That's what it is. We're gonna tighten this thing down and we're gonna jam the porcelain down. But I think prior to doing that, I'm gonna plug up the hole that we've got open. That way we don't cause any problems. Because I'm sure we're gonna have to run this once we get it out. Okay, we got that one in there. Don't forget to tighten that up. You guys remind me. It'd be me, I'd remember about halfway on the test drive. Alright, we've got the tool inserted into the hole in the rear. We're going to jam down the forcing screw portion of it in the center, push that porcelain out. I'd really like to get the camera back in here and show you, but it's tough. Unless I had somebody here to hold the camera, it's a tough thing to shoot and actually have room to do this. It's very important that I do the best job on it that I can. We don't want to screw it up. You know, we like to, that's more important than a good video. I tell you, these ones really seem to push in easy. I've done some of these, man, they, like I say, if you're doing this and you've got one that's really just snapping, it sounds like, you know, crunching bones. It's not uncommon. That's the typical, I would say. This one's not as common as some I've done in the past. I haven't looked on the that Ford guy there on YouTube, Ford Tecamaloco, or that guy there, you know who I'm talking about, he's pretty popular there. I know that Ford, the factory Ford removal tool is like a, it's like a glue stick, I think. You kind of glue on there, then pull it out, something along those lines. But I haven't looked on his videos. Maybe he has one of these videos. I don't know what method they use in the Ford garage there. I think that's where he works, at a Ford garage. So, alright, I'm going to finish cranking this down and get it out of here. Okay, we pushed it down. I even took care of the tool because I said, you know what? We're done. Didn't work. Drop our guide down in. Drop our screw extractor in there. let me back the nut here, back that off a little more. It's a little tight working in this back one. That's the only thing that's kind of a pisser on these is the back hole. You know, you got your AC back here, you got your coolant, you know, had the ECM. So, alright, let's see if I can't get it to take a good bite. They've engineered this tool quite well. So it does bite really good. Seems to. I mean, when it locks in, it locks in. You know, you feel it. Okay, that's as tight as I want to take it. Screw the outer nut down to it. Let's see, we got another socket here yet. What is that? 15/16 or something? 15/16. Here we go. Round 2. Feels like it's going. Got kind of easy there. Let's turn this thing by hand the rest of the way. And hopefully when we pull it out, we've got all our parts and pieces. Alright folks, moment of truth. And there she is. And this thing is absolutely slobbered with never cease. That's interesting. Look at this. Let me pop this out of the tool here for you. So look at this. Hopefully that's focusing good for you, but that thing is completely slathered with never cease to the point it's like oozing down the porcelain there. A couple things. I did see never cease all over the spark plug when I took it out. You know, it seemed to be kind of oily, you know, simply because it's hot. So is this never cease, was that initially applied to, I mean, it's literally like caked on there. You know, was it applied to the tip, or was it just sitting up on the threads and, well, we dragged it up through the hole and, you know, you just had transfer? That's a couple questions you can think about. I really don't know. It'd be nice to know, because it'd be nice to know if all of our efforts in, you know, piling them up with never cease is the answer, or maybe it's not the answer. I will say though, however, like I mentioned, pulling both of these out, they went easy and they didn't make a lot of noise that they typically would, you know, doing these. Usually she's squeaking on the way out. It's creaking and crunching, and you're wondering if the tool's going to let go. So I would say, not knowing how they applied it, it did help in some fashion. You can see though, on this one here, so this is the last one we broke, it does have the platinum tip, so we're not missing any of the electrodes. However, we are missing a sliver of the porcelain right there on that side, which I guess is to be expected, as you have to force it through to break that grounding electrode open. You know, and again, there's, you know, nothing you can do about it. We can tighten down the one spark plug that we have to. We'll put a coil on it. We'll fire it up, and you know, let it run for a little bit, and hopefully it puffs that little piece out of the hole, and we'll move on with life. So I think we did pretty good, but as predicted, the two rear broke, and it is what it is. So we got it fixed, and we didn't pull ahead. Plug tight, we'll drop the coil back in this hole, click it back on. Now we'll hook the points condenser back up here, so she'll run for us. Everything's hooked up, no reason we can't start it, so let's fire it up and blow all the dust that's in there and porcelain and crap out, and it's the best we can do. Like there's a little cloud that came out of that baby. Taking unhook the PCM, TCM, BCM. I think it's a triple super module on these Fords. I think this thing controls the body and the tray and everything. So we'll set that to the side. We'll grab our new plug, drop it back in that rear hole, and set the coil on it, fire it up. Oh, it makes you feel good when you get that last one done, man, I tell you. Always wonder how to schedule these jobs. Oh, you want spark plugs? Let me set aside 3 days. You know, you never know, you gotta pull it. I don't know what happens if the job goes bad, man, you gotta pull ahead or something. But let's hope we never cross that bridge and these things end up in the crusher before we do. Alright, there's that. Whoa, hang on. Slip the coil back here. Wow. My fingers work correctly. Chore sometimes. Oh, come on. Okay. I think that's in there now. Looks like they're all hooked up. We'll throw the magic box back in again. See if it runs. In good shape. Sounds pretty good, and I don't see any smoke. I just gave her the old rev up tune-up. That seems pretty good. So all we gotta do at this point is wait for the new coils. Let's throw that PCM bracket back on. That's pretty easy. You don't need to see that. It's just a couple bolts. Yeah, as soon as the coils show up, we'll finish this job up and ship it out the door. Alright, well that wasn't long. It's got me a little package in the mail here. I'm going to take and open this up. This should be my coils. Like I said, it was the customer's decision to do this. You know, like I say, based on a educated guess. Hate to say that, but frankly, it was nothing more than that. So why call it something it's not? At any rate, you can see here the coils I chose to use are the ones put out by Wells. Now, I've been doing some work with Wells. You know, did a couple webinars with them there on some relative compression testing. You can pop over their site and check that out. However, I don't think the YouTube version of the webinar went very well. Something got goofed up with the audio, but it was their first time, my first time, and we're hoping to improve upon that. But one thing I will mention about their product, and not to sound like a sales pitch, the more I've dealt with them and, you know, watched their videos and things in their publications they put out, is what they do is, you know, like say for example, these coils have a, you know, inherent problem. They, you know, have a specific thing that goes wrong with them. They seem to fix it. They don't just take the OEM coil, reverse engineer it, manufacture it, make it a little cheaper, make a little more money. They seem to take a product, not just an ignition coil, for example, but maybe you know, ignition control module or a crank sensor or whatever the case may be. And if something's wrong with it and it has a common repeat failure, they improve upon it and they fix it, and then they, you know, they manufacture them, you know, either here in the U.S. or wherever, you know, wherever their manufacturing facility is, and then ship them out to us. So that's what I like about them. They take initiative to fix the problem. So I've got the coil here. Comes with a little paperwork. I'll leave a link to their YouTube page there too. Like I said, I'm friends with the guy that's over there, Mark. He's a real great guy to deal with. Okay, basically it's just in reference to coil boots and stuff. They come pre-greased, as it's stated here. So it says, as a product improvement, a special dielectric boot grease has been pre-applied into the spark plug boot at the factory. And it gives a list of benefits of that. So that's pretty good. So we don't have to worry about getting out our own dielectric grease. They're pre-done, ready to go. We're going to take and pop these on, take it for a test drive, see if we can duplicate the problem, or hopefully in this case not duplicate the problem, and verify the fix. And we'll take it from there. Okay. Out with the old and in with the new. See, that's the old coil. The new Wells coil look almost identical. So I guess that can be a good thing. Those are all OEM coils that are in there. Like I say, it comes with the dielectric grease already in it. So we're just going to go through and swap these out one at a time. No sense in recording that whole rigmarole. Unless I run into a snag along the way. I think I'm just going to go ahead and finish that. Clear out any of the codes that we generated. Get the CCM bolted back in like I said I was going to do previously, which I didn't do yet. And we'll take it for a drive. Gotta get these last couple tightened down. I don't know if I mentioned it. 7mm. maybe I did. I had to walk away from this job several times to go do some other stuff. Of course, I pulled it in at 8 o'clock this morning. It's a little bit after lunch right now. So, you get an idea how long it's kind of been sitting here, kind of bouncing in between other jobs. But got it just about done. Tighten up these last few and go for a ride. Needs an oil change too. Well, it's here, but naturally I wanted to tackle this job first. You know, no sense changing oil on it if you got to pull the heads off it. Thankfully, we did not have to cross that bridge. Alright viewers, there you go. We made it back. Truck runs good. Obviously got all the coils finished, bolted down, fired up, and you know, ran as good as we expected to. I did take and drive it under the same conditions that were you know, creating the fish bite misfire you know, that we had prior to this. Like I said, it was pretty intermittent before. He was pretty heavily concerned about it, and I found out why. The reason the plugs are all never seized is because at like 50-some thousand miles, 60,000, somewhere's in there, he had a misfire, a very severe one. Engine light was on, it was flashing, and he took it to the Ford garage because he happened to be right across the street from it. I'm sorry, he was right across the street from a Chevy garage who also owns a Ford franchise. So he just drove it across the street, said, hey, my light's on, it's flashing, my book says don't drive it. And they said, you're absolutely right. They looked at it for the guy. Long story short, supposedly it had a fuel injector that was shorted and was just pumping fuel. The best he could drive it to me, it just sounds like the injector driver or whatever, you know, just stuck on, it was filling the cylinder full of fuel. So he left it there, and they told him that it has to go to their Ford franchise to be repaired. He gave them permission. The Ford franchise is about 30 miles away, and they drove it. Well, you can assume what would happen if you drove a car with a fuel injector that was stuck in the on position 30 miles. It cost him a couple heads and 2 catalytic converters. In which case he went to the Ford dealer and lost his mind and got it fixed for free. But that's the story on this. So at, you know, 60-some K, this thing had the heads replaced because of pure negligence on their part. And they tried to pin it back on him from what he told me. It's kind of an amusing story. Of course, it went on for, you know, like a whole hour while he was explaining it to me. But they tried to explain it to him because he gave them permission to transport his vehicle. In which case he explained to them that he thought that they should be smart enough to know that it shouldn't have been driven because it clearly states, you know, in his owner's manual that it shouldn't be driven. That's why he parked it where he parked it. And but yeah, so yeah, the guys at the dealership drove it about 30 miles with the engine light flashing, and evidently it was just catastrophic failure. It's I can only imagine the catalytic converter must have been like cherry red. But yeah, it cost like I say, a couple heads, a couple catalytic converters, and it's good to go. So must be when the Ford garage put it back together, they never seized our plugs for us. But I would like to know to what extent, you know, back at the time that they did it, you know, were these an issue? You know, I didn't get them dates and how long ago it was, but with 120 whatever thousand it's on it now, it's, you know, it's probably been a while. So I can't really say that the never sees helped, which is odd because I still never sees the ones I put in, and they're supposedly a different design and they're not supposed to break in the event that you have to replace them again. But here in New York, it'll end up being, you know, recycled into soda cans probably before it needs another set of plug wires, just because the rust is going to get it, and the salt, all that business. So anyhow, we'll leave it at that. I thought you guys would like the story as to the why it happened, or you know, why it had never seized on, and that explained a lot. And that explains why this guy thought, hey, this thing has doing that same little skipping thing, I better get this fixed right now, and was very adamant about just, you know, all the coils, all the plugs, let's just do it. So either way, I think he'll be happy. And you know, the price wasn't too bad. The job went smooth. They were able to get them 2 plugs out, no problem. So I would say if you have a Ford with a 3-valve engine and you're entertaining the idea of replacing your own spark plugs, be prepared. Do a lot of research on it. There's a ton of information, and you know, a zillion different methods. Unfortunately, I don't have, you know, an unlimited amount of time to allow stuff to, you know, soak it, you know, as far as spraying it down with training fluid and whatever else concoction we can come up with, acetone and all the other good home brews that are out there. I think that's the method. If you read on the Ford actual manual, is to spray it, work it. I'm sorry, we just don't have that time, and you certainly don't want to pay me my hourly wage to let your vehicle soak and work the plugs every couple of days. We can just break it off and get it over with quick, because just because you're soaking it, I don't think gives you any guarantee that it's gonna come out. And I guess on another note, one thing that I have tried, because I did find that heating them up, or not allowing the engine to run like it is, that works the absolute best from the stuff I've messed around with and tried. So I heat them up, and the other thing I've done in the past is I heat them up, I bring them in, and then I guzzle them right full of sea foam, like down a brake booster hose or something, and let it just chug right down, almost to a near stall, shut them off. And my theory on that was hopefully that would soak the bottom side of the spark plug tips, and through capillary action work its way up the electrode and hopefully ultimately loosen it. But it seems to be inevitable that whenever I do these, the rear two break. And that's just the way it is. I don't know, I guess 2's better than 8 or 10, so I just take what I can get. At any rate, that was a big long conclusion. So we'll wrap it up with this. You can check us out on Facebook, connect with us on Google+, you want to connect with us socially there. And if you like our channel, just consider subscribing, click the subscribe button. So just remember, viewers, if I can do it, you can do it. Thanks for watching.